As the days go by, it's becoming more and more apparent that those in the mainstream media, the corporate media, have no idea what a JAG officer does in the military, especially now in his capacity as the governor of Florida. Earlier today, I had referenced a press conference in my first video where the governor lays out the perfect case to sue the pants off of CBS. They are in deep you-know-what, and the governor lays this out perfectly. I'm just going to let this run. It is about a 28-minute press conference. I'm going to speed it up to 1.25 to kind of get through it, but he has someone with him that helps illuminate the points. He also has graphics to show what was done with CBS in 60 Minutes. They are seriously in a very bad place. And since the governor was acting in his official capacity as a servant of the people of the state of Florida, Publix and the state of Florida would have an interest in that lawsuit. So, without any further delay, let's hear it right from Governor DeSantis.
We were supposed to have all the retail pharmacies open on day one. The federal government delayed their program. We wanted to figure out ways to do it. He had talked to Walmart as his first choice. They weren't quite ready. Publix eventually became ready, and so he arranged for that, and we did it on a trial basis. And I remember going to the Publix when we first started it and just talking with seniors. And it occurred to me after talking with them, some of these seniors had not gone anywhere but Publix for the previous 9 months. They weren't going out to dinner. They weren't spending time with family. And so when you were there talking to them, a lot of them were very emotional. A lot of them had tears in their eyes because this is what they had been waiting for. And being able to get it at the one place that they had been going throughout the whole time was really important for them. And so, it was very successful. And of course, we were able to expand it accordingly. But when you're talking about this ridiculous smear narrative, it's important to break down just how false, how thoroughly dishonest it is. Because this is bad for our country to have big corporate media smearing for profit just because I'm in the other party than them and using their partisanship to craft narratives regardless of the facts. So the big lie, of course, which has been debunked by 100% of the people that have any type of knowledge on this, is that there was some type of conspiracy between Publix, which is our probably most respected company in the state, and me about some type of vaccine distribution. That's been debunked. That was wrong. And it's very telling. When I was asked at that press conference, I gave a very detailed answer. And that answer was edited out. Every single fact that I discussed was edited out. The fact that Publix wasn't even the first pharmacy to get it, CVS and Walgreens had it. The fact that we had it obviously in hospitals and these other places. The fact that Publix was selected because they were the first pharmacy to raise their hand, that was taken out. The fact that when I went down and met with Mayor Kerner, Palm Beach was the one that calculated 90% of their seniors live within a mile and a half of a Publix. And that they cut out 90% because they knew that would hurt their narrative. So everything they left on the cutting room floor was designed to take away all the evidence against their narrative. It was malicious what they did. There's a video going out now, it's got millions of views, shows the 60 Minutes clip, and then it shows the actual answer. And I can tell you, even people that may be on the other side of the aisle from me, when they look at that, they uniformly understand that was a smear, that was editing to try to further a narrative and to try to hide the facts. And we offered them on camera last week for Jared to go on for Mayor Kerner. And now they say they've talked to him in the past. Yeah, Jared's not going to sit down in an interview a month ago or 2 weeks ago to dismiss a fake story. He's got better things to do. But when it was clear that they were hell-bent on doing this, said, all right, Jared will go on air. David Kerner will go on air. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that because obviously that would have undercut their narrative. So the whole thing is a big lie. We know it was a big lie. CBS certainly knew it was a big lie, but that was their goal, was just simply to try to smear Florida, smear me, smear whoever they could in the process to try to manufacture it. I mean, they're based in New York. How many critical stories are they doing about the governor of New York? I've seen puff pieces. I haven't seen any critical looks at all their problems. But I want to focus on something that is probably somewhat overlooked. So the smear is a conspiracy charge, which is obviously BS, but the way they say is exclusive rights to distribute the vaccine in Palm Beach. So this was stated as a fact. That is absolutely false. The reporter knew it was false, but certainly they knew it was false by the time it went on air because I told them it was false and all they had to do was check the facts. So did Publix ever have an exclusive deal? Well, the fact is there was never a deal with the state of Florida and Publix for any of this. No contracts. The state of Florida never paid Publix 1 red cent for distributing it. It's just like when we would send vaccine to hospitals. You send it to Jackson in Miami, they get it, they distribute it. They can obviously charge Medicare or whatever, but the state wasn't giving Jackson any money, just as the state wasn't giving Publix any money. There was never a deal. There was never a contract. And I can tell you, if they were not doing a good job getting that vaccine in seniors' arms and Jared saw that and came to me, we would have absolutely moved it to where someone was doing a good job. But they did do a very good job. So there was never a deal. There's also never exclusivity. This is something that I told them during that press conference, and they lied about it. They put that statement on the air knowing it was a lie. So for example, we had CVS and Walgreens doing long-term care facilities in Palm Beach County and in every county in Florida that has a facility, starting in December. So December, January into February, you have all those folks. We allocated probably hundreds of thousands of doses to CVS and Walgreens for this mission. The state also, with our strike teams, we did 100 long-term care facilities to start the first week because the pharmacies weren't ready. But and that was Broward and Pinellas. But then as the pharmacies were doing it, we thought the pace needed to get a little bit better. So we had strike teams come on the back end with some of the ALFs and some of these other things. So there's no exclusive deal with Publix in Palm Beach. They were doing the long-term care, Walgreens and CVS, the whole time. That wasn't Publix. This is readily available information. You literally would make 10 minutes worth of phone calls and you would have been able to see that this had been going on December, January, February through other companies, CVS, Walgreens, also through the state strike teams. But they didn't want to tell you that. They wanted to lie. They wanted to say there was an exclusive arrangement in Palm Beach, and that is false. This is also the case. Palm Beach, they were one of the first counties to get vaccine doses at their county health department. And if you look, they got the same amount as Miami-Dade County, but I think as most of you know, Miami-Dade County is a lot bigger than Palm Beach County. So that is a pretty significant number of doses there to do 20,000 doses in Palm Beach County. So that was December, January, February, all that was continuing to go. Here's just December. Here's all the points where you see vaccines had been distributed to all these places. Obviously, the health department in West Palm Beach. People say West Palm Beach wasn't getting any. That's not true. That's another lie. You have all that. You have all these different health departments. You have hospitals like Jupiter Medical Center. You have all these different ones in Boca Raton, other parts of the county. This is just in December all this is happening. Then we started doing these senior pods. The first senior community that we set up a pod in was Kings Point in Delray Beach, Palm Beach County. Publix didn't do that. There was no exclusive arrangement for Publix to do that. That was actually even before the new year started with Kings Point. Very successful. Tell you, I was there for that. Man, seniors, they were so thankful and so happy. And again, Jared and I could have just sat on our rump and said, hey, we'll just send it to the places and not. No, we were going, let's figure out how we can make a difference and save lives. Century Village, January. Century Village, West Palm. Again, you hear West Palm wasn't getting it. Give me a break. West Palm, January 3rd, 2021. And then even Huntington Point later on in March. Publix had nothing to do with it. So when they say there was an exclusive deal for Publix in Palm Beach, 60 Minutes is lying to you. They knew they were lying and they kept on lying. You look at faith-based missions. Again, this isn't Publix going to African-American churches. You look at all the things starting in January, Tabernacle Missionary Baptist, Wells Recreation Center with the Greater Bethel, all these other ones. Obviously, we did synagogues. We did other different types of faith, primarily focusing on African-American communities. Publix wasn't doing that. If Publix had the exclusive rights to distribute vaccine in Palm Beach, how are those African-American church populations being vaccinated? They're being vaccinated because people like Jared were getting the job done. Florida was showing leadership. What Jared did with the African-American churches was the first in the country to do that. Again, that wasn't Publix. Where's the exclusive deal? The exclusive deal is a lie. They knew it was a lie, and yet they put it on the air. January 21, again, we're told that there's an exclusive rights for Publix to have this in Palm Beach County. Well, that's crazy. Are these all Publix subsidiaries? I mean, is the Jupiter Medical Center and Brevard Health Alive, are those all subsidiaries of Of course not. It was a lie to say Publix was the exclusive right, that there was a deal for exclusive rights. You had all these different areas that had vaccine, 26 locations in just these medical areas. And oh, by the way, you did have it in the county health department out in Belglade. And so the result was, by the beginning of February, we had been doing Publix in Palm Beach for probably, about 2 weeks at that point, would you say? So we've been doing Publix in 2 weeks, which was very helpful. But Palm Beach, they went, especially when we did that, we started really hitting the pedal on the metal. 146,000 seniors, really in a matter of about 4 weeks, where we were mainly in the fight on this with the 65 and up. So there was a lot of success. We had a lot of different points. And we wouldn't have been able to reach those numbers as quickly as we had if there was an exclusive deal with Publix. And so it was a lie to say there was an exclusive deal. They knew it was a lie and they put it on anyways. Is this? Okay. So here's the thing. You get into February. State of Florida allocated the vaccine to 31 locations in addition to Publix throughout Palm Beach County. And that includes the site that Jared was involved with, John Davis, our lottery secretary. I personally not only approved, I told these guys to get it done. John and I went to Pahokee. We did it at the high school, and we made that a permanent site. There was a need, and we fulfilled it. So 31 other locations having nothing to do with Publix. How does Publix have an exclusive deal? Of course they don't. That's a lie. March, even more locations, 37 locations. So when does this exclusive clause kick in? I mean, can someone explain to me how this was ever an exclusive thing? Or is this just something you're fabricating out of whole cloth? I think we all know the answer to that. This is something that's being fabricated out of whole cloth. And then in April, of course, we're now 97 locations. And part of the reason is we get a lot more vaccine on a weekly basis than we were in December and than we were in January. But the bottom line is to suggest, or to not suggest, to assert as a matter of fact that Publix was rewarded with exclusive rights in Palm Beach County is something that even the dimmest bulb in the New York corporate media constellation would have been able to realize that was false. You literally take 10 minutes to make a few phone calls. 60 Minutes was in Florida for 3 months trying to dig up dirt. And Jared and I were talking about it. It's like, okay, they wanted to smear Florida. They wanted to smear our vaccination effort. They obviously wanted to smear me. They spent 3 months, and the best they could come up with is a half-baked conspiracy theory that literally is readily debunked by talking to like 2 people. So I think that means we probably did a pretty good job, because if we had done a really bad job, they would have actually had facts that they could have relied on to try to do the hit piece. So no exclusivity. That was obvious. I said it in my press conference. They edited it out and they refused to put it on the air, but they kept a lie on the air. That's intentional. That is malicious. And I think we all know that. Here's a Palm Beach Post even has this. January 16th, hundreds line up for COVID vaccines in West Palm Beach. And again, this is sponsored by Jared's agency, Tabernacle Baptist Church in West Palm Beach, trying to get it, particularly with African-American church members. And on this, you hear about like exclusive access. We go to the pastors, we say, you provide us your folks. Give us your congregation, tell us how many you can get. You get 500, we'll bring 500 doses. And so they roster these folks, and then we go in and do it. It's not because we're trying to give them any more cut the line or not. It's because we believe that getting into communities makes sense. We believe that these pastors are trusted. We think that makes a big difference. Oh, by the way, more vaccines, Palm County, Tabernacle Baptist Church. Who's that? Oh, I think, is that the guy that was saying that we weren't doing anything with any of the African-American communities? He's there taking credit for it. You know why? He wanted to do it, and so Jared made it happen. So there we are there, and this is January 16th. That was the weekend after I had met with Mayor Kerner in Palm Beach County about figuring out strategies, how we could do, and then eventually, obviously, we decided to expand the retail footprint. So that was happening right as Publix came online. You had this happening. Why didn't 60 Minutes tell you that? We told them that. We provided them all the information prior to this piece airing about all the different sites that we had done, about different things we've done, not just in Palm Beach, but throughout the entire state of Florida. We gave them that information, and just like they edited me out in my press conference, they edited out that information from their piece. You know why they did that? Because the piece was preordained before they even stepped foot in the state of Florida. They knew what they were trying to do. The facts did not matter, and they were hell-bent on trying to launch a smear piece against me and against the state of Florida and against one of our most respected companies and brands, Publix. So that is what we're dealing with here. And I think, obviously, there's a big lie that there was some type of conspiracy with Publix. But just this claim that there was exclusive rights in Palm Beach County is readily debunked. It's obvious. It's obvious that is false. It is obvious that that's a manufactured conspiracy theory designed to fit a partisan political narrative. And so that's just the reality of this. There's other stuff. I'm going through some of the transcript or whatever. There's other stuff in there that's a total disaster as well that obviously was not true. But why do you edit me out? I'm giving you the information. No one said anything I said in that press conference isn't accurate. I mean, CVS and Walgreens were doing it. We did meet with Kerner. We had all these different things going on, and yet they chose to edit that out. And this is one of the biggest face plants of corporate media. But I do think we're in a situation where corporate media thinks they can do whatever the hell they want. They think they can smear whoever they want, and they think they can just move on to the next target. And that's bad for our country. They divide this country on purpose with their partisanship and their fake narratives without worrying about the facts. They came and tried to divide Florida. But fortunately, we have people across the aisle who've been working together this whole time who say, you know what, that's bunk. You know what, you're wrong. They actually told them that before they aired the piece, but they still went ahead and did it. So we're proud of what we did. I can tell you, I talk with other governors. I mean, they would love to see some of the stuff Jared has done or that we've been able to do with retailers in some of those states. People have followed what Florida has done, not just with retailers, but with African-American churches, with pods, with all these different things that we've done. And again, the goal is get as many shots into seniors' arms as possible. Of course, now in recent weeks, we've been able to expand it. Where now every adult is eligible for the COVID vaccine. No one would have thought by the beginning of April that that would have been the case. And it was only the case because we used all the tools at our disposal, including our retail pharmacies. Jared was very responsive as folks were asking for support, if there was any way we could do it. In fact, he would say yes, and then his staff would have to scramble. I mean, we showed up at sites where they have 24 hours notice. I mean, and these guys are showing up, at Sun City Center and Hillsborough, at some of the other churches. I mean, it really, really was an impressive effort. And so I just regret that because you have, a New York corporate media who, by the way, if you're going to hit somebody in Florida, Publix is probably not the best brand to go after. People kind of like Publix, and it just shows you they clearly have no idea what's going on in Florida. They clearly don't understand the state. But I really believe that if they didn't have the partisan agenda, then they would have recognized the good work that so many other folks have done throughout this whole vaccine drive. We got more folks that need it. Obviously, we're going to continue to work very hard. But it's been a lot of work. But there's been a lot of satisfaction, particularly for our seniors. And I can say without question, by putting seniors first, by having a very diverse approach in terms of the various distribution mechanisms, we save lives. We absolutely save lives. We done good. I don't need any plaudits from corporate media, but if they're going to come down here and smear our efforts or smear me or smear great companies in my state, I'm going to hit them back right between the eyes. Jared?
Governor, thank you. And so, I'll say this for, the fifth or sixth time since the first time the Publix narrative got printed in the newspaper, this pay-to-play narrative. So the reason why I know that to be false is because the decision to use Publix was made in my office in the EOC. That was the recommendation that was developed. It was developed with 10 people in the room in coordination with folks from my office and the Department of Health. We had already been working with CVS and Walgreens in the long-term care program. They were already vaccinating. We were already working with them. There are many articles about that. That's not breaking news. In fact, that program also was running a little bit slow, right? The state had to step in and help out. And so that relationship had existed all the way back to December. We were working with the federal government because the federal government had a federal pharmacy program. The states got to choose who the federal pharmacy partners were. The federal government didn't pick. We got to choose. We had picked Walmart, Publix, and Winn-Dixie. But the federal government delayed that program by 30 days, probably having to do with vaccine supply. So we needed to open up more locations. We needed to open up more locations faster. Setting up these outdoor drive-through locations takes a lot of time and a lot of logistics. And so we came up with the idea of, well, why can't we turn on the retail program ourselves? And so my first choice was Walmart. I called Walmart first and said, listen, we have some doses. We want to pilot this. We want to pilot it specifically in areas that not just have hesitancy, but where we're seeing shots in arms slowing down. And so we picked some rural areas. We talked about some urban areas. And Walmart said, great, we'd love to partner with you, but we can't start for 21 days. And I said to Walmart, fantastic. We'll get back in touch with you. Keep us up to date with the progress. I then got on the phone with Publix. By the way, this was all done on the speakerphone with 7, 8 people in the room. And I said, when can you start? 72 hours. That's it. That's the whole story. There's nothing else. And yet the narrative that has been out there for weeks and weeks and weeks, this is not a new thing that 60 Minutes ran with and that we've been pushing back. I talked to 60 Minutes and they were very nice. We talked for a long period of time, but I told them that this Publix narrative was malarkey and they still went with it. And so, the unfortunate thing is that, my job is really about operations, right? My job is to try to get shots in arms as fast as possible. But I got to be honest, in the last year, this is not the first time that I've seen this stuff where it's verifiably false and yet it's printed and our rebuttal has to be in the last paragraph with some salacious headline because the narrative still wants to be told. So
that's better than cutting out the explanation from a press conference entirely. So
true.
Steps, I guess.
True. So let's talk about some of the things the division has done at the governor's direction. So we have partnered with 250 churches in the state. We have done 88,000 doses of the vaccine. We've partnered with African American churches, Hispanic churches. We've partnered with mosques, with temples. We've done interfaith vaccine events. We've partnered with the Asian American community, the Vietnamese community. In fact, just recently we did the first LGBTQ church in the state. We've done 12,000 doses now with homebound seniors. We have vaccinated 165,000 people at long-term care facilities, assisted living facilities, nursing homes, HUD Section 202 housing, independent living facilities, APD group homes, adult daycares, residential treatment centers. We gave 9,000 doses to the AIDS Foundation. We did 50,000 doses to the 188 federally qualified health centers. We partnered with a school for the deaf and the blind to make sure that they were vaccinated. We've gone to 116 mobile home parks and set up pods in those mobile home parks and vaccinated 15,000 people. We've done 21,000 doses in HUD housing. We have 14 mobile buses running around the state, making sure that we're vaccinating farm workers, people in meatpacking plants. We're setting up those buses in socially vulnerable areas to make sure that people can get the vaccine. We have a site in Immokalee that has done 1,200 doses. We were the first state in the nation to work with FEMA on the federal sites, but say to FEMA, we want those sites to be walk-up. We were the first state in the nation to suggest that they should be walk-up, no appointment. Why did we do that? We did that because we were aware of the digital divide in the minority community. And so there were no appointments needed. We took the computers out. And the second thing we suggested to FEMA, and we were the first state in the nation to do so, was you can't just have one site in an area. You have to have spokes. You have to go deeper into the community. So we were the first state in the nation to have these separate sites deeper in what they call the social vulnerable index, which is areas that obviously need additional assistance to get the vaccine. At these federal sites, in state partnership, these hubs, we've done 500,000 doses in those communities. And because we see the vaccine hesitancy in the minority community, we decided to be one of the first in the nation to go door to door. And so we have knocked on 280,000 doors in underserved communities. We've partnered with AmeriCorps. We've partnered with Souls to the Polls. And so we're going to continue to do this stuff. We're going to continue to expand. We got 16 sites right now in minority communities. We partnered with HBCUs. We're going to continue to do more. But to be quite honest, I need your help, the folks in this room, the folks watching. I need the media's help to help us get people vaccinated rather than dividing us for retweets and likes on stories that, look salacious. You might not win the Pulitzer helping us get vaccinated, but I need you to help people get vaccinated. Help me get people in the minority community vaccinated. So we'll work with anybody we have from day one. If there are ideas on what more we can be doing or where we need to go, reach out to my office because this is so important. This is our opportunity to stop the spread in the state. Governor, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. I got to run to the next one. Jared, if you want to answer some questions, go ahead. Thanks. Governor.
And that is the entire story right there. Beginning to end. This is how we win. There is one person who asks a question here, and the question is, in fact, let me play it so you don't even have to take my word for it. Hold on. The question is, if you can't hear it, is should CBS be prosecuted, I believe, is what the man says. That's the only question that gets asked. But I'll play it. Hold on.
Should they be fired? The people involved with that story? When do you want to be vaccinated?
Okay, so I guess the question was, should the people involved with that story be fired, meaning from CBS, and asking him when he's going to be vaccinated? So, once again, the mainstream media, the corporate media, is just absolutely on its heels, running scared right now, and CBS is in some legal hot water. So, just wanted to cover this for you guys tonight, so you had all the information here. Share this. I know at the end of every video I say like, share, subscribe, but share this with people so they can hear and see the facts. Whether you agree with the vaccine or not, it's a personal decision. The fact that Jared Moskowitz was talking about vaccine hesitancy, once again, here we are. Let's see, we started in December, January, February, March, April. We're in month 5, no mandatory vaccines. Nobody forcing anybody to do anything. I know, crickets from the anti-vaxxers. And like I said, it's your right to not want to go get one. That's fine, but it's not your right to talk lies about it. That's for sure. So anyway, God bless, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time.